919. You're listening to 919. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for reality radio as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night. Only on 919.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. You're listening to 919. My name is Devnarain and this is Reality Radio. It's as real as it gets every Friday night when we have a guest live in studio to talk about the incredible stories that shaped their remarkable lives. Tonight, my really, really good, close, dear, highly respected, much loved friend, Nambitha Mpumlwana, who is a casting director, an actress, a veteran leader in our industry. It's so good to have you right here as a special guest tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. And I love the whole format. Hey.
Yeah, it's not like our producer,
mic and headphones.
Mataba wanted to have a setup that's informal, so that we don't sit, where there's a big desk in studio and then we gotta try and connect across the table. This is like you and me sitting and talking, like we always threatened we were going to do.
Yes, with microphones. With microphones, I love it.
Well, pretend it's a cup of tea or something, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have a sip of my pretend cup of tea.
Oh, okay. You always prepared with that. Okay, that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm always extra.
So I wanna go back, because even to our friends, and I know you're streaming live now.
We're streaming live on Instagram.
On Instagram, I think it's a lovely idea. So we're talking to our friends on YouTube and on Instagram. This is going to be filling in parts of your life story that many people watching right now probably really want to know and never had a chance to ask. But this is my job now, right? That's my job. Take me back to when you fell in love with performance, with theater, with words, with literature.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I tell this story that I remember sitting in front of a stage watching a play by Gibson Kente. I must have been about 4 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't... I don't think I even knew where I was going, and I found myself sitting like in the front row, and almost like in the space between the front row and the stage, and just sitting like this.
Yeah.
And I was so enamored, not just by, I did not want to perform. It wasn't me wanting to be on stage.
Yeah.
There was a magic that was being communicated, and it goes from the performer to the audience and back. And I was in the middle of it and watching it go back and forth, and the feeding of souls, back and forth. And I said, that's what I want to do. I want that. I want to be that person that does that. So it wasn't, I want to be on stage, I want to be a star.
Yeah.
It was just that magic. I fell in love with the magic of it.
Do you still find that today? Because I know you still perform on stage.
I do. Yeah, I do. There is, with film and television, there is the wall with the camera.
Yeah.
And I found a way of creating that magic for myself with the, within a camera environment. And also with radio, I found I could do that now.
Yeah.
And also with voiceover work, that somehow, because I was always seeking it, then I was always able to capture it. Now with stage, it's something else, because the feedback is immediate. It's instant.
Yeah.
And if somebody coughs, I used to perform with for children. If you're boring and one coughs and somebody else coughs and they pick it up and you can hear the cough picking up, that cough.
Yes.
And you're doing something wrong. You got to change gears quick.
Yeah.
So stage is amazing. It's magical.
And did you find support amongst your teachers, your parents, your siblings, when they saw in you that you love being in that space of magic where the performance happens?
My peers would, whenever there was something going on, say, yeah, go and sing. And I'd be so terrified, hey?
Because you sing as well, right?
I sing better in the shower.
Okay, no, I get it. Because I mean, we share productions with real professional singers, and when no matter how we sing, we just think leave it to the
Leave it
poets.
to them. Yeah. I enjoy music. I absolutely enjoy music. I don't always sing on key, I've been told, but I do it anyway.
Just get a different set of keys.
Yeah. You know, I find keys that are not quite on the piano.
Yes.
So I would find myself being shoved onto the stage, you know, and I remember I was 12 years old and I was in King Williamstown, Ezwelicha. And we're in this hall and we're waiting for performers to come in. So between performances, I think somebody was missing that was supposed to be, you know, on the lineup.
Yeah.
And they said, well, let her go and sing. And then they literally just shoved me onto the stage. And I stood there and like, okay. And I started singing. And the magic started to happen again.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked by it. I froze. Like halfway through the song, I forgot the words.
Yeah.
Just because I saw can you imagine 12-year-olds, 10, 12-year-olds sitting and watching you sing and they're quiet still?
Yeah.
I was like, when I noticed that, like, you know, of course I forgot my words. Just pretend it was the end of the song and I flew off the stage.
That's the right thing to do.
Yes.
So I'm going to stay a bit at that time. You're young, you're preteen. You haven't yet decided for yourself where your life was going, right? Have you had you decided on a direction vaguely at that point?
No. I was in politics. At the school, and of course I grew up in politics at home.
Yeah.
But I was doing drum majorettes.
Oh, I love it.
And we'd rehearse in the street and then go to Checkers or, you know, ShopRite on Saturday and go and perform in town.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in Zwelicha again, I found out there was somebody I think it was in Zone 2 or Zone 7. But I mean, I can picture it in my mind where I would go from Zone 9 where we lived and just up the hill. And I found out they were teaching Indlamu, which is the Zulu traditional dance. And I went and signed up. I didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
I just needed to show up every time. And that's how I learned Indlamu. I just signed myself up. So I was always wanting to learn more and more about the arts.
Yeah.
I didn't say this is my career path. I was just drawn to it.
So you found you had a voice and that became part of your music. There was traditional dance going on and you were connecting with your culture, your people, your heritage through that. And then did that kind of place what you wanted to take as a next step? Did you want to do something else? Did you want to do like maybe go to the drama classes or...
So in high school, I was a math whiz. I was like, math was my thing. So I was doing programming. I was computer programming. That was my thing. I mean, on a Friday night when I had nothing better to do, I would create equations to solve.
That's what you guys do, right, on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's what teenagers do.
If you're not listening to reality radio, you're going to work out some equation. I get
you just create an equation and a full scale, put an equal sign in the middle, and just start, solving it. So that was my thing. But I found out that they were auditioning for a musical, school musical. I went to audition. I didn't get in. And I think towards the end of my high school, they cast me as a third tree from the back. Yeah. And that was my starring role. They just told me I was terrible. I was like, you're a terrible actor. Just stop it.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course. I think most of the actors that I know, all remember that kind of thing. Their first appearance on stage was an absolute failure.
Yeah.
But talk to, this is getting interesting, and it certainly informs where I want to take our discussion tonight.
Okay.
What was the political connection in your home and family and community life?
My dad was very much a political activist, and I only found out after his passing that he actually was hiding. He was the South African version of the Underground Railroad, where he would help people to leave the country, and so he created, the places for people to hide and how to transport them, get them over the border, and safely, of course. And there were always people in our yard that would stay a week, a month, or a day, and a lot of them were wounded. And then they'd leave, but when they're there, they were just part of the household.
Yeah.
So there was that. To my young mind, I really didn't know what that was about. So it never connected as a political thing.
These
to
are
me.
Dad's friends. They need a place
Didn't
to
even
stay.
question it. Did not even question it. What we did have though was I remember when Steve Biko was arrested, and we used to march in the the courtyard, I would call it, at the farm. We want Steve. Biko is our hero.
Man, yeah.
And so my English vocabulary was a very political one.
Yeah.
And I remember also he had a very strong lesson to teach us about, the Barbie dolls were all blonde. And he said, no, that's not going to be your life. You're not going to be raised to look after white people. That's not your life.
Yeah.
So when aunts would come and uncles would come and give you a Barbie doll for your birthday, he'd just rip that thing up, and he would make you rip it up.
I can completely understand. You see, and that's how young minds are given impressions about their own identities that we have to be able to interrogate. And I'm so glad your dad did that in the way that he did. From Barbie dolls to the red carpet, a future in film and television and stage. We're talking to Nambitha. This is Reality Radio. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back after this.
They say nothing ever lasts. But what about the Fast and Furious franchise? Or showing Anaconda 2 for Friday Action Night? Or how Brooke is still forgiving Ridge Forrester like 50 seasons in? And then there's Burger King's Whopper Meal deal, which is still going strong. So get your hands on 2 flame-grilled Whoppers topped with the freshest ingredients, plus 2 portions of crispy golden fries and 2 bottomless drinks for only 130 Rand. Only at Burger King, where good things do last.
We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night. Only on 919.
And we're back. It's Reality Radio on a Friday night. Our guest tonight, Nambitha Mpumlwana, and we're talking about her life as an actress. Now I suppose you've taken on that mantle of being a veteran actress, and people like to see you as a kind of a matriarch, because people, especially South African people, like to honor their elders when they know that you have done so much more for so many others. We show reverence.
Me, an actor. I mean, oh my God.
We do show respect.
An elder.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so weird, hey?
It's one of those beautiful things about our respective cultures, where we show respect and reverence to our elders, because we know what they've done for us, and it's almost as if that duty passes on to us, to the next generation as well. So, did you find at any point that your parents, now watching you, felt as if they needed you to be something, an activist, a teacher, a career person, a voice for the community, for the movement?
So I lived parallel lives. Yeah. So when I went to university, I studied theater and I studied psychology.
Which university was this?
University of Winnipeg in Manitoba in Canada.
But how did you end up there now? You were
Because I was living there.
We went on a commercial break and you went from
and I ended up
to
overseas.
Canada.
I was living in Canada.
Oh, okay.
So my high school was in Winnipeg.
Right.
Which is the Midwest, which is, very farm, very rural, and I loved it because, it wasn't a bustling city, so I could adjust, And so here I am, I'm in college, I'm studying theater because I was not allowed to major in theater. Then I majored in psychology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always had that. I always had a leg on stage. So I studied that, and I studied psychology, which it turned out to be a really good marriage, because what do? We study human behavior.
Absolutely, behavior.
Yeah. So it worked out for me. So by the time I went professional, I moved to Toronto. But throughout all of that, I was an ANC rep, youth rep.
Yeah.
So I definitely was very much involved in politics.
So the ANC was alive even with the cells that you had created in Toronto.
In this is Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yes. So in Winnipeg, I was the youth rep.
Oh.
And of course, when it was time for the International Youth Conference, I was the representative from Canada in Moscow. It was crazy. So you see, the politics
That's
is always
amazing.
Constantly with my, like, in step with the...
So that conference now, that happened in Moscow.
That happened in Moscow,
And
yeah.
that was when, in the mid-80s?
1985.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And there was also, there was a huge suspicion also in those years about still being the Soviet Union.
Yes, the USSR.
That's right. So
Yes.
what was that experience like?
Oh, it was so much fun. Keep in mind, it's youth, kids exactly the same age as I am, from all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world. And here now, meeting South Africans who are the same age as myself from everywhere. I mean,
Yes.
I remember with meeting Bulgarians, and this is how they say no.
Yes.
So you've got this South African kid who's saying, no, we
Yeah.
can't do that. And I'm like, but you're nodding. And they're like,
Yes.
no. I'm like, "Ah." Because each one of us would then assimilate in whatever culture that we were living in.
Of course.
And it was amazing. Of course, that's where I met Jonas Gwangwa.
Really?
Yes,
Oh.
because Amandla Group came to perform.
Yeah.
And that's when my relationship with him began. And of course, it went on until he passed. So when I came to South Africa, I connected with him again. It was like, do you remember? And he goes, yes, you allowed.
Yes. Well, Jonas would know that she's still loud. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. I'm still loud.
Did you feel a yearning for South Africa at that point?
Whew. Yes, I did. But it wasn't something that I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move back to South Africa. I just lived my life.
Yeah.
And that was always my thing, that I'm just living my life. And here I am now, and here I am now. So at some point in 1989, I moved to Toronto to go professional. And again, I landed in Toronto, and I was connected with a group called Siaka, which was a group of South Africans performing in Toronto, and would sing South African songs, would, put together South African plays, telling
Yeah.
South African stories. And so the yearning for South Africa wasn't so strong because I was among South Africans.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, you lived in Canada so long, how do you remember your language? I'm like, I had to, because I was immersed in a community of South Africans. So I did not have a choice. I had to maintain myself throughout all of that.
And what was some of the influences then that, because I can see you easily assimilating into Canadian life and their everyday kind of culture.
Yeah.
What did you find yourself exploring and becoming that as well, also holding on to your own roots?
I did. So when I was in high school, my first best friend at Vincent Nessie was from Nova Scotia. So she was an outlier, I was an outlier, because I was the African kid and she was a Nufi.
Yeah.
And Nufis were kind of looked down upon.
Okay.
Yes. So being from Newfoundland, you just loved it. So the two of us became best friends. And Gail and I then, maneuvered our way through, grade 10 together. And it was my first year there, so it was good for me. By the time I moved to the other high school, because our family moved, Laura was from the Caribbean.
Oh,
That
right.
was my best friend, and so it was crazy. So as much as I was, immersed in Canada and the Canadian culture, I still had friends from elsewhere because I was an outsider. You see, so I had my leg in the Canadian culture, but also still being very much a South African.
do you still travel that much? Do you still connect? Do you travel in Africa?
I love traveling throughout Africa.
Yeah.
I haven't done as much as I would like. We shot Beyond Borders in Namibia. Loved that.
Oh.
So weird being recognized in like a place that I thought I would just show up and be anonymous.
Yeah. Nobody would know me here.
You know, they watch Sevendelan.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
They watch Sevendelan.
Yeah.
So, you know, and a lot of them recognize me from Generations at the beginning when, like, you know, in 95 when I did Generations. 96 rather. And they were like, yeah, no, I remember you from that. I think some of them, my Jamaican fans, remember me from that day.
Yeah.
So, being in Lesotho, it's good. It's good. I haven't really traveled through Pan Africa as much as I would like to. No.
I'm fascinated with Africa. I really want to travel more.
Yeah,
maybe you and I are going to take a road trip and we're going to document everything. We'll have a video diary of me and Nambitha
don't tempt me, Jack,
traveling in Africa.
Like,
now, I know also that one of your very, very big international roles was working with Morgan Freeman.
yes.
Talk to us about that, because I've got a story to share with you after.
Oh my. So I get flown into Cape Town and I've got this tiny little role in this movie. Excuse me. And I walk onto set.
This was Invictus, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Invictus. So, and they kept saying, we apologize that the role is small, but we need somebody strong. And I'm like, is that me? And they're like, yes, we want, specifically, it has to be you. So I'm like, okay, fine. So they flew me down there and I meet Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, the director.
He was directing it.
Yeah.
And they're both very tall. Morgan Freeman is very tall. Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood is very... just the protocols on set, I so loved that. I love the way that everybody... Now, the two of them are actually very, very good friends. They do
That's
a
right.
lot
Well,
of work together.
they did Unforgiven together.
Yes, they're very good. When they walk together, they walk apace with each other.
Oh, that's amazing.
They
I
have,
love
they
that,
have
yeah.
a rhythm with each other, which is
Yeah.
really amazing to watch. So the two of them, I mean, one is here, one is there, and I'm looking
There's
at them
you,
like this,
yeah,
and they're looking
yeah.
at me like, it was amazing. So I enjoyed, I learned a lot from him. But when I went to sit down at lunch, I actually sat down with Clint Eastwood, and we just chatted about nothing.
I love that. Nambitha's sitting here telling me that she's having conversations over lunch with Clint Eastwood. Can you guys believe this? What is going on here?
That's my life! Right.
Incredible. It's so beautiful. I love that.
So what's your story?
Well, okay, now we'll get to my story, because I know that at some point Matabis is going to call me for a break. So just before we go into that story, which is so ridiculous and funny, I just want to know what were some of the protocols that you learned working on this international production in Africa, in South Africa specifically, that you find that we're not finding the same kind of treatment and protocols with South African productions?
When I walked onto the set, I was fetched by the second AD.
Right. The
From-
second assistant director.
Second
Yeah.
assistant director fetched me from my trailer, walked me onto where we're going to be shooting, introduced me to the first AD.
Right.
The first AD said, nice to meet you, Ms. Mpumlwana.
Ah.
No first names.
Nope.
We don't take anything for granted.
Professional,
Would
yeah.
you kindly wait here for me, please? And I stood there and I waited. He walked over to Clint Eastwood and
Yeah.
said, Ms. Mpumlwana is here.
Oh.
Then Clint Eastwood came to greet me at the door. And he said, hi, my name is Clint. I'm your director.
Yeah.
And I was like, nice to meet you. And he says, would you mind coming with me, please? And then he walked me over to
Yeah.
go. And in fact, they waited because Morgan was talking with somebody. And as we were walking towards him, he said, I'm sorry, we need to wait a moment. He then finished his conversation. Somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, we'd like to introduce you to Ms. Mpumlwana.
That is so incredibly respectful and professional.
Then they walked me over, and he actually was also walking towards us. And again, hello, Ms. Mpumlwana, this is Mr. Morgan. And
Yeah.
so since we're going to be dancing together, do you mind me touching you?
Wow. Do you mind me touching you? Sure.
I said, no, I do not mind. I understand we're going to be dancing. What kind of
Yes.
dance are we going to be doing? He said, well, teach me what your favorite dance is. So what you saw on screen is us playing around and, how
That's
about we try this?
magic.
Okay, fine, let's do the waltz. Do you know how to do the waltz? But between scenes, he and I are just hanging out with each other and just
Yeah.
chatting. I learned about his car accident because he just had his car accident.
Right.
We spent hours talking, just hours.
Because his hand was injured, right?
Yes,
It was
yes. So
badly.
he had it in a glove.
Yeah.
And then I discovered that he was actually left-handed, and that was the hand that was paralyzed.
I see.
So we were talking about his journey of learning to use his right hand for things,
Yeah.
and that was amazing. It was
How did he dance? Did he dance well? Was he a good dancer?
He was a good dancer. He
Yeah.
was a good dancer. But he taught me. He taught me something. About when you're walking into places. Because I said, "Have you been? Have you gone to places in Cape Town since you're here?" And he goes, "No, it doesn't feel good."
Wow. Okay, that's great because I've got another story for you now.
Oh.
Also a Morgan Freeman story. Guys, we got so many stories. But why not? Because this is reality radio.
Yeah.
We are going to take a quick break. Coming back to some fantastic stories. You got to hear this.
Have a groundbreaking tech startup or hackathon idea? Empire Partner Foundation's Incubation Hub is here to nurture your vision. Our Incubation Hub provides the perfect environment for startups and hackathons to grow, access resources, and make their mark in the tech world. Join us at EPF's Incubation Hub and turn your tech dream into reality. Visit our website for more information on how we can help your startup thrive at empirepartnerfoundation.org.
919 has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, programming that is not harmful to children and that does not amount to hate speech, or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think we're not living up to that code, you can inform the BCCSA. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa to PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. Or email the BCCSA at napsa.co.za. For more information, visit the bccsa.co.za. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for reality radio as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
It's not every day a pretty girl says, "I love you," jingle. Damn.
We
can do this.
to the actors.
I got two stories for you, both from 2010 and both about Morgan Freeman.
Oh my.
So we were about to launch Mandela Day.
Yes.
And as part of the big launch for Mandela Day, we had Morgan Freeman return to South Africa. This is after the whole Invictus was done and it was shot, it was released. So we were traveling from Johannesburg all the way to Cape Town.
Yes.
And that along the way, we're going to stop off and do 67 minutes of service at some selected places and orphanages and schools and shelters and things like that. So the first stop that we made as we left Johannesburg
Yes.
was a sports stadium in Potchefstroom. So this is a poverty-stricken area. People don't know movies. They don't have DVD players. They don't go and rent. At that time, this is 2010, people didn't go out and rent blockbusters, right? So there was a massive entourage. There's like nearly 70 bikes. There's Morgan Freeman sitting in the back seat of the 7 Series BMW. And we arrive and we do an entire circuit around this sports stadium, and everybody's going crazy. And we brought everything to a stop. And slowly the door opened.
I love what's about to happen.
The 7 Series BMW. Out steps Morgan Freeman.
Quiet.
And nobody knows it. Nobody knows Morgan Freeman.
And out comes Jack Devnarain.
And there I am on my Harley and I'm right there. I stop several meters behind the BM. I take my helmet off and people go, "Rajesh!" They went mad. And then suddenly the security detail that was all around Morgan Freeman suddenly saw hundreds of people rushing past him to go to the guy on the bike. And what's going on here?
Oh, I love that.
It was fantastic. It was the funniest thing. And then at that point, he realized Well, it depends where you go, right?
Yeah.
So, but he never had it in on his mind that he needed to be celebrated in that way.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
second story is we had done the final delivery. We had arrived in Cape Town. It was a week. It was intense. We were all exhausted. We had all put up our handprints on this massive mural that said, "The future is in your hands." And of course, we know that comes from Madiba himself. So Morgan Freeman, who had just played the role of Mandela, we are leaving the site where we had finally finished our ceremonial duties. And that was the Cape Town City Hall.
Okay.
And Morgan Freeman was the only one. There were only two people left walking down the stairs. It was Morgan Freeman and I was behind him.
Right.
He came to this landing where Mandela made the speech after his release. And Morgan Freeman, you guys will never believe this, he actually stood there and he did the speech again.
Oh my word!
Word for word, he said it.
Wow!
And I was standing right behind him and I just kind of stepped back a little bit just so that I wouldn't impose in this moment.
Did somebody record it?
Nobody recorded
Oh,
it. It
heavens.
it just came out of nowhere. I didn't expect him to do that. It was so beautiful.
Oh wow!
He nailed it word for word.
Ooh,
What a thing, hey?
yeah.
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 Some of these
Oh,
magical
wow.
moments.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I mean, he was special. He was very, very special.
Oh my goodness! Ooh, goosebumps!
I
Jack.
know.
Goosebumps.
But I had to share that with you because I know you
That's an
had
amazing story.
you had done so much work with him, and I think it really reminded the American producers and all their production teams the capability and the talent of our South African performers.
Yes, yes, yes. They. So I'm shooting Red Dust, and with Tom Hooper, who is directing it, and for some reason he really didn't have much respect for us South African actors.
Oh.
But I was with Hilary Swank and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh, powerhouse.
Yeah. Chiwetel used to babysit my son.
No ways.
And he used to play chess with him.
I love that.
I love that, yeah.
Chiwetel, he's a god for me as a performer.
Amazing, but amazing human being.
Yeah.
So Vangile used to hang out with him.
I love that.
But while we're shooting and with Tom Hooper just not, being disrespectful and disdainful of us and really not showing us proper respect, we are extras as far as he's concerned. Then the trailer for Beyond Borders comes out. Now, I had been asked to go and shoot a French film by Dennis Berry, and they refused for me to leave the country. We even tried to schedule it around them. They tried everything, and they said no, she cannot leave the country. And then over Christmas, Hilary Swank went to Uganda or Ghana or something like that, and that was okay.
Oh,
so
fine,
I was
yeah.
very unhappy with them.
Yeah.
So we come back from the holidays, and Beyond Borders trailer comes out. And who's in the trailer but Nambitha Mpumlwana sitting with Angelina Jolie in the trailer?
Look at that.
And he goes, you're Nambitha? I'm like, yes. He says, you did Beyond Borders? And I said, yes. With Angelina? I said, yes. He says, you in the trailer? I said, yes.
Which part of this are you not getting, guy?
He was so shocked.
Yeah.
He was so shocked. And after that, he did not know how to talk to me.
So you messed his worldview
I
up
think
completely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now he started really looking at us. He started really looking at who he was dealing with.
And then they see us.
And then they see us. It took that trailer to come out to humble him.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know us. But what also I discovered, we were just shooting King Shaka just recently. When we show up on set, they know that they're getting quality. Now they know.
No, yeah.
Now they know. And they will bring their mediocre, actors, but then they cover them with us. They make sure that we are there to hold the fort and ground them and. We're being used, basically, and yet we still don't get the royalties.
This is something I really wanted to pick up with you in our conversation tonight, because you and I are both deeply involved we are at the very forefront of all those conversations relating to South African actor royalties.
Yeah.
So I know it was going to get there at some point.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
here
yeah,
now.
yeah. It's you and I. It
Yeah.
would get there.
So why do you suspect our political leaders have been so slow on the uptake when it comes to saying, and I'll just paint a picture for you here, right? And of course for our viewers. If you look at how industries are regulated, it's only when an industry is regulated that you actually start to take it seriously, because
Yeah.
then investment becomes serious because you know the rules of the game.
Yes.
So in our country, you look at the big industries and you look at mining as a massive industry, and manufacturing and agriculture and freight, transport, railway, corporate, banking, insurance, retail. All these things are regulated, except the creative sector, except our work
It's
as
called
creatives.
a play.
So, yeah, okay. Tell me why
called
you think.
a play, and we are there to play.
Yeah.
That's for
Oh,
children.
you see, yeah, it's a recreation.
It's a recreation.
Yeah.
There was a culture at the SABC, and I was often reminded of this rule that they did not want to make stars at the SABC.
Because then what? It'll be unaffordable.
Do you
for them.
remember when we went on strike on Generations? He said,
Yeah.
nobody's bigger than the show.
Yeah.
He wanted to humble us, because who do we think we are?
Yeah.
It's the culture at the SABC that was just so prevalent. I don't know what it's like now because I'm not there, but I remember working corporate at the SABC and having to combat that and saying, no, we do need stars so
Yeah.
that people can be inspired.
Sure.
And people would tune in to their favorite people.
Yeah.
So we do need stars. But I was a lone voice, really, because the culture was, we do not have stars. We do not create stars. We don't want stars.
If you think that you don't want stars or need stars, then why have the SAFTAs? Then you have an entire red carpet. I don't understand how, if there is a culture not to create stars, why then do you have an entire National Film and Video Foundation, which is an agency of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, put millions every year into a red carpet event for actors?
It's almost as if the left and the right hands don't know each other.
Exactly that. And this is why, until we are regulated, we're never going to see ourselves as an industry. We're not going to take ourselves
They
seriously.
treat us on set like children coming to play and
Yeah.
not wanting to be there.
There was somebody who mentioned earlier, just before we started, I think, our broadcast, somebody had mentioned, when are they going to relook at the rate card? And I
Yes,
thought that was a really
yes.
important question.
Yes.
Because in an unregulated industry, nobody can set a rate card.
No.
Where does the rate card come from? Let's just say you and me, we decide, you're a producer, I'm an actor, let's you and I agree on a rate card. And once we decide what it should look like and how much an actor should be paid if they 5 years in the industry, how much should they be paid for 10 years in the industry, then let's put it out into the industry and then everybody must follow the rate card. If we do that,
Then you must be greasing up your wrists because you're about to get steel bracelets.
100%, that is called price fixing.
Yes.
It is called collusion.
Yes.
It is a violation of competition law. It is something that the Competition Commission and their tribunal would very much like to talk to you about.
Come this way, please, Mr.
Yes.
Devnarain.
So the way you achieve that is by creating the regulation.
We need to be
first.
regulated.
If you create a regulated system where everybody knows this is your organization, this is your mandated representative, this is the structure, and let's be very clear, around the world, creative sectors are regulated.
And the different sectors that would benefit from this, the tourism sector
Yes.
would benefit from
Yes.
us being regulated. The Department of Employment and Labor would
Absolutely.
benefit because at SARS
Yes.
Because now you know how much we pay, you know how much we earn.
Yeah.
So it's not like, aungacheli, it's not a thumbsuck. They can tell you, if you're working so many projects, you should have made this
Absolutely.
much, because I know how much you're supposed to get paid.
You'd be able to make provision for social security. You can make provision for
You would
recourse.
have a paycheck that you know that a person earning 5,000 rand a month is more likely to get a bond than myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter
right.
how much money I make.
Absolutely. In terms of the banking and insurance industry, they would look at us and they would sooner give a bank loan to somebody who works as a domestic worker or a security guard than any one of us.
The person working for me is more likely to get a bond than myself.
Absolutely right.
And that's because we are not regulated.
Being a freelancer.
Yeah.
So, at some point though, you realized that being the lone voice wasn't going to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And then that's when you and I started kind of talking about where do we go.
Even when we were talking, I was still lone wolfing. You remember?
I remember, yeah.
I was still lone wolfing. And oh my goodness, I'm going to share this very openly. Saga saved my reputation.
Really?
I know you and I did not, we have never shared this conversation.
No.
So I need you to understand this. And I try to say this to people about joining Saga. Saga saved my reputation because I was the lone voice. I was the one sticking up and speaking up. But with an umbrella body, I am so much more protected.
That is such a real thing. And we're going to talk more about membership and what it means to be a member. Let's pick up on that conversation about saving a professional's reputation, because it's as important to me as well. It's Reality Radio on a Friday night. We're going to take a break and be back after this.
They say nothing ever lasts. But what about the Fast and Furious franchise? Or showing Anaconda 2 for Friday Action Night? Or how Brooke is still forgiving Ridge Forrester like 50 seasons in? And then there's Burger King's Whopper Meal deal, which is still going strong. So get your hands on 2 flame-grilled Whoppers topped with the freshest ingredients, plus 2 portions of crispy golden fries and 2 bottomless drinks for only 130 Rand. Only at Burger King, where good things do last.
We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarain is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
And we're back, Reality Radio on a Friday night with me, Jack Devnarain. Tonight, Nambitha is in the featured hot seat.
Yes.
Talking about what it means to work and to mobilize and work as a collective, which
Yes.
makes all the difference, right?
It makes a humongous difference. Also, if I were to say something, I run it by you first.
Sure,
I run
sure,
it by
we can
Colin.
check in, yeah.
I check in with the team, and I get feedback, and I can polish up my tone. It makes a humongous difference.
Yeah.
When we went to Parliament, I went there by myself, but I wasn't alone.
That's right.
I
That's
was
a big
not
deal.
alone.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness, Adrian just kind of did this with me.
Oh, absolutely.
And it made such a difference.
Yeah.
I was terrified. My dad was there. He
Your
was a
dad
member
was
of Parliament.
there.
Yes, he was a member
Oh,
of Parliament.
wow.
And so they were like, oh yes, and of course you brought your dad here, didn't you? And I was like,
For sure.
But I was still a lone voice,
Yeah.
and trying to explain some of these concepts to people and getting irritated.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were at Power FM? And they had that forum there, and I was at the table. You were not.
Yeah.
But this is the power of teamwork.
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, fine, we need to address this. That question's being raised. I was slipping notes back to you.
I remember.
What's this now? How do we face that?
I remember they had to open the doors on the side because the crowd in the room was so big.
And you were standing right behind me, and you were backing me
I
up.
remember, yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world.
And you know what I also realized is when we made that appearance in Parliament, we were still very new to the process, right?
Yes.
That was like 7 years ago.
2018.
We didn't realize that it was only the beginning.
No, we didn't.
So what a lot of actors don't understand is like they'll get really cross. I sent a letter to the president, they'll say. I spoke to the minister. I sent a WhatsApp to the deputy director general. Nobody got back to me. Guys, they will ignore you.
They will ignore you.
They don't know you.
They make a habit of ignoring
Exactly.
us. They make a habit
You
of
need
it.
to have a mandate. You need to have a follow-up. You've got to have an archive of all those emails, all
And-
the events, all the agendas, all the minutes of every meeting.
And when we went to Parliament, I thought, oh yay, now it's the culmination of all the months that
Yeah.
we've been drafting these bills.
Yeah.
We worked, and a lot of people, and I'm saying this to camera, a lot of people saying, well, we're not consulted. I am
Rubbish.
sorry. We worked 4 months inviting people. I just got a stray email, and I was like, I'm here, I'll do it. And
And you stood up.
and
You and I were then busy formulating our input because that was the technical working group, right?
yes, that was the technical working group.
And a
with
lot
the
of people
TTI.
make this mistake. That's the point. People think that the actor royalties issue in South Africa is being managed by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. It is not. The issue of actor royalties is sitting in the Copyright Amendment Bill, which was drafted by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Please don't chase after Minister Mackenzie saying, "Where's my royalties?" He doesn't know.
No, it's not. It's not in his purview.
Yeah.
It's not. But I mean, oh my gosh, my mind was just blown open, in that process. So there was a lot of consulting. So yes, when we got to Parliament, we thought, oh yeah, whew,
Yeah, it's been thrashed
yeah,
out.
we're done. You're right. It was just the beginning.
So this is the part that actors get wrong. Just because you attended that one meeting and somebody made you feel very special,
Oh no,
nothing's going to happen.
no.
You need to follow up. It needs to be followed up by a team of people. And of course, we work as volunteers. This is what we do.
Lone voice moment. I went when COVID hit.
Yeah.
I went to Vusi, who was the Director General in the Department of Arts and Culture. I drove myself to Pretoria and I said, listen, you guys are not talking to us properly. You don't. Please allow me to sit down and explain to you how to access actors.
Yes.
And he sat down and I laid it out to him. I said, you are asking us to show you contracts. That's not how we work. How about auditions? That's not how it works either. You need to look at the body of work and know.
Sure.
And these are the organizations that will help to guide you
Yeah.
on who is a working actor and who is not. And this is how to reach us. Do you think they did anything about it?
No, they still try to. In fact, if, heaven forbid, there has to be another kind of economic industry lockdown like we
Tsunami.
had. Yeah.
We needed tsunami.
Some, what they call a force majeure that
Yes.
brings an end to everything. If we end up in another situation like we did during COVID, there is literally no plan from anyone in government to take care of our creative industry. If ever it has to happen again, there's no plan.
There's no plan.
Just to let you know. So this is why there's an
You're on
urgency.
your own, actor. You're on your own.
I feel that urgency still, and I
Yeah.
have to share this with you because I was talking about our work and our status as veterans, which we own.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
If we don't feel that urgency, then who is going to? We are literally saying that the biggest part of our careers lie behind us.
We were having a conversation, a meeting with Equity UK, with Londi. Was it yesterday? My days are running into
Okay.
each other. And this is part of the SAGA work that we do. And we're talking about how to encourage membership for SAGA. And one of the things that came up in that conversation is that the veterans that you're talking about, the legends, they don't want to be part of activism.
Really?
And you will find that Nambitha is on a set, and Jack has come to talk about, Saga.
Yeah.
And Nambitha has had a bad experience with Power years ago.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, wow.
whatever 5 or 6 young people that were on set listening to Jack talk about,
Yeah.
yes, let's all join Saga, and they were excited, they're going to look at Nambitha, who says, yeah,
Really?
I've seen this. They come and go. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And that 5 and 6 group of actors is going to also walk away.
That's so sad because
So
Saga's been around.
That's the sad thing that the
Guys,
the legends.
Just
are
to
doing.
give you some facts, the South African Guild of Actors is around for 15 years,
Yes.
and we are going strong still because we care about
We're
this
not
business.
turning back.
No, and we work as volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what nobody
so
pays
we're
us.
not getting paid. We're not getting paid for this.
Let's talk about stuff that we really care about. There's an event coming up in Cape Town
Ooh,
on
Lord.
Friday, the 27th of September, and it is about dealing with racism in the creative sector
Yes.
in the Western Cape. Talk about how that happened and why do we need to address it?
Do you know that in this day and age, I had somebody. I just finished working on a production, and I was being driven. Oh, here's what happened. The driver that was assigned to me to take me wherever I need to go, and then to the airport, and that's exactly what the production company understood.
Sure.
That I've got about 3 hours before my flight, so I'm gonna want to do a couple of things, and then he's gonna drop me off. So I lined up a couple of meetings. After the second meeting, he says, "You're not from around here, are you?" I'm like, well, I'm going back to Joburg. He goes, yeah, you're not like the black people here. That I had been allowed to take one of the production vehicles to take me to run my errands
on.
before I'm driven to the airport was something that did not happen there.
Well,
It
what do they
happens for
think?
white people.
And that's normal, right?
That's normal.
But not for black people.
for black people.
When did this happen?
Not even 10 years ago, but 6-7 years ago. So
That is
it's
bizarre,
recent.
man. Come
it's
on.
You're not like our blacks.
Yeah.
You're not like so. So those are the things that we need to make it normal.
Yeah.
To treat black people as equal human beings, and in the Western Cape, that's a difficulty.
And obviously we've got so many things to do as an organization. Nobody has the time to be putting together projects and events that they don't have capacity to do.
Yeah.
This had to happen because of the sheer number of complaints that we were receiving.
My goodness.
And not just from performers, from technical crew as well. People are saying, I spoke to this person, I mentioned to them that there was inappropriate behavior, there was sexual harassment, there was gross misconduct. There was something I had to put into writing, and as soon as I did that, my freelance contract was cancelled. What do I do? This is happening so frequently and so shamelessly.
Yes, because you are overstepping your bounds
Right, as a black person.
as a black person.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it happens with male-female dynamics in our industry.
Also, yeah.
I will shamelessly hide behind my male counterparts on set when it comes to negotiating for things.
Yeah.
Shamelessly so. Because I know they will get it before I do.
Come on, really?
Yes. When I was working with Patrick Shai on Ashes
what
to
a man.
Ashes, very dear friend, I would go, Shai, I need this. And then he would go and negotiate it like it's for him.
Ah.
I said, Shabbat, Saturday I cannot work, it's Shabbat. And he went and told production that he doesn't work Saturdays.
He said that.
And I got my Saturdays off.
Yeah.
He saved me. And in the Western Cape, I will find a white friend and talk to her or him and have that person speak on my behalf.
Because if it doesn't come from them, you're not going to be
It's not
heard.
valid. It's not valid. It's a
Yeah.
complaint if it comes from me.
Yeah.
It's a nuisance if it comes from a black person. It's ridiculous. When we were shooting Interrogation Room, now this is going back quite a few years, the extras, which were all black, were given stale food. I remember one of the extras came to me and showed me a plate of rice that had maggots.
Oh, wow.
I took it to the production office, and I said, "Why are we giving this to eat?"
Yeah.
And they said, "Why would you give Miss Mpumlwana that to eat?" I said, "No, it wasn't given to me, but I came across it. It's on a plate. Why is it on a plate? That means it's somebody." I did not say it was for extras. I just said, why are human beings being given this?
Exactly.
But I had the authority of being number one to be able to make it, to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Were I number 6 or 7, I would have lost that contract.
Yeah. No, that's the reality. And the thing is, we must never forget, and we've always been guided by this, for all our activism in this industry, we're not just fighting for actors.
We're fighting for human beings.
That's right. That's exactly
We're fighting for human dignity.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we found, the South African Guild of Actors is going to have a mandate. But what we are looking for is the kind of transformation that is going to affect every single person, regardless of what work you do, whether you're technical or creative. It's going to impact everyone. We can no longer be that creative sector on the bottom tip of the African continent that is still not regulated.
I want to say this before we run out of time, Jack. The power of being in a collective that we spoke about just a few minutes ago is going to protect you in these conversations. You are going to be protected.
Yes.
Come out. Speak up. You will be protected. Your name is not going to be quoted in a report going back and, Unomsa Dagalani is saying this.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
We're going to say Saga says this.
Yeah,
That's why the
absolutely.
whole event is called Saga Speaks. So we get your opinions, we get your views, we get your grievances, everything that's in your heart. Pour it out onto us, and then we will speak on your behalf to make sure that you are protected.
Don't be afraid, guys. If ever anybody challenges you on where did that come from, just say, Jack said it. This is Reality Radio, everybody. It's been a wonderful Friday evening, spending it in your company and in yours. Sister, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
It's been absolutely beautiful. I
It
think we're
went
going to
by
have to
so
do
quickly.
so many more.
Oh,
I
my
have so
gosh.
many more stories to share with you and all of you. Thanks, everybody. You have a beautiful weekend. Take care and lots of love.
Thank you,
We'll
Jack.
see you next Friday night.
Shabbat Shalom.
Reality Radio. Good night.